All right, so have you ever felt like you understand English, but then like when you try to speak, it's
Yes.
like you just can't, it's like your tongue is tied.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's such a common feeling.
Yeah. And we are going to deep dive into this today.
Definitely.
We're using this episode of the Speakeasy podcast called I Can Understand English, but I Can't Speak.
Catchy title.
It is, yeah. And it really captures that feeling of like,
Yeah.
you can watch movies and listen and read books,
Right.
but then when it comes to actually speaking...
It's like hitting a wall.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they talk about passive versus active learning.
And I think that's a big aha moment for a lot of people.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Because it's true, we consume so much English passively,
Absolutely.
but we don't actually produce it ourselves.
It's like the difference between watching a chef cook
Uh-huh.
and then actually getting in the kitchen and cooking yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You know, watching someone else do it
Yeah.
might give you an idea,
It
but
doesn't make you a chef.
it's exactly. You got to get in there and get your hands dirty.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
So how do we bridge that gap?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is, and they talk about speaking as a skill, which it is,
Yeah.
and how it's not enough to just passively absorb it.
Right. Like anything you want to get good at, you have to actively practice.
Exactly.
And they highlight how fear is a big thing holding people back.
Oh, absolutely. Fear of making mistakes.
Huge.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Like, I used to be
Oh, yeah.
so scared to say the wrong thing
Right.
that I would overthink every sentence.
You get stuck in your head.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And they talk about how that fear is completely natural,
Totally. It's human nature.
but it can be so paralyzing.
It really can.
And they do a good job of, like, normalizing that feeling.
Yeah.
That everybody makes mistakes.
Even native speakers all the time.
Even native speakers all the time.
Constantly.
Yeah. And it's about reframing those mistakes as
Feedback.
as
Yeah.
a way to improve.
Exactly. Not as failures.
Yeah, as valuable lessons.
Absolutely. And they even talk about the neuroscience behind it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like when we make a mistake
Mm-hmm.
and we get that corrective feedback, our brains actually form stronger connections
Oh, wow.
related to that language.
So making mistakes helps you learn more effectively.
It does. It's counterintuitive, but it's true.
That's so interesting.
And this actually ties into their third point,
Okay.
the lack of consistent practice,
Oh, yeah. If speaking is a skill,
which it is.
it needs to be exercised.
Absolutely. Like going to the gym.
Totally. Like hitting the gym for your language muscles.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's so true.
So even a few minutes a day can make a huge
It's
difference.
huge. It all adds up.
Yeah. So they don't just talk about the problems, they give some tips.
They give some really good, actionable advice.
Okay, so what are some of their tips?
Well, one that really resonated with me was this idea of speaking to yourself in English every day,
Even if it feels silly.
even if you feel like you're talking to the wall.
So like narrate your day-to-day activities.
Exactly. Like I'm making coffee now, or I'm going for a walk.
The toast is burning.
Exactly. It sounds basic,
Yeah.
but it gets you comfortable producing those sounds
I see.
without overthinking it.
That's interesting because it's like low pressure because
Yeah.
you don't have an audience.
Exactly. No one's judging you.
Yeah. So what are some other techniques?
Another one is called shadowing.
Shadowing.
Yeah, have you heard of this?
Well, I don't think so.
Okay, so it's basically mimicking native speakers
Oh.
that you hear in podcasts or movies.
So you're like trying to copy them?
Exactly. Like
What
an
a-
audio workout for your pronunciation.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it actually connects to this deeper point they make
Okay.
about the importance of thinking in English.
Mm. Now, doesn't that just happen naturally, though, as you become more fluent?
It can,
Yeah.
but the episode argues that consciously trying to think in English
Okay.
can accelerate the process.
I see.
You know, instead of translating in your head,
Yeah.
you're trying to directly think in English.
So, like, instead of thinking, how do I say I'm tired?
Yeah,
I just think I'm tired.
exactly.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's about training your brain to process English directly.
So rewiring your thought patterns.
Exactly. It takes effort,
Yeah.
but it's worth it.
So what about some more practical tips, though? Because that's...
Right, because that's kind of theoretical.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing they suggest is using the question-answer method.
Hold on. What is the question-answer method?
So this is where you basically ask yourself simple questions in English,
Okay.
and then you answer them out loud also in English.
Out loud. That's interesting.
Yeah, so for example,
Yeah.
imagine you're practicing the present perfect tense.
Uh-huh.
You could ask yourself, what have I done today?
Hmm.
And then you answer, I have woken up, I've eaten breakfast.
I see. So you're prompting yourself to use the grammar and vocab.
Exactly.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
That's really clever.
So it's a low-pressure way to practice,
Even if you're alone.
even if you're alone.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they talk about the importance of finding a speaking partner
Okay.
or joining a group.
Now that can be a little intimidating.
It can be, but think of it this way.
Yeah,
Everyone in those groups is in the same boat.
that's true.
They're all looking to practice.
They're all going to make mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone's making mistakes.
It's a safe space.
Exactly. It's a supportive environment.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's like about finding a community that's all learning together.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's less about being perfect
Yeah,
and more about just communicating.
having fun and learning.
Exactly.
Now, before we move on,
Yeah.
I want to touch upon the embracing mistakes thing.
Yeah, because that's like a recurring theme
It is.
throughout the whole episode.
And I think it's so important.
Yeah, it's crucial.
It's about shifting your mindset from
From perfection to progress.
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. And they argue that that's crucial for unlocking fluency.
It really is.
It's not about speaking perfectly. It's about communicating,
It's exactly. And learning from your mistakes.
learning from your mistakes.
So how do we put this into action?
Well, the episode actually has a challenge.
Oh, a challenge. I love it.
Yeah.
So they challenge you to commit to speaking English
Okay.
for at least 5 minutes every day.
5 minutes.
Yeah, for a week.
That feels doable.
Right?
Even for someone with a busy schedule.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
a small commitment with big potential payoff.
I like that. And they suggest like even just talking to yourself
Yeah.
or recording yourself.
Or finding a speaking partner if you can.
So it's all about fitting it into your lifestyle.
Exactly. Make it work for you.
Yeah. And they encourage people to share their progress.
Right. Creating that sense of community.
Yeah. Because then it feels like you're all in it together.
Exactly.
Now, you know what's interesting?
What's that?
This whole thing with like the active versus passive learning,
Yeah.
that applies to so many things.
It does. It's not just language.
It's not just language.
Yeah.
Think about any skill you've ever learned.
Like playing an instrument.
Playing music, coding, writing.
Yeah.
It all comes down to actively engaging with the material.
You can't just read about it.
You got to do it.
You gotta get your hands dirty.
Yeah. And that fear of making mistakes, too.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
That holds us back in so many areas of life.
For sure. We're so afraid of looking silly
Yeah.
that we don't even try.
But what if we could look at those mistakes as
Opportunities.
opportunities, as feedback?
Yeah, like stepping stones.
Yeah, to get better.
There's a great quote about this. I love it.
Oh, what is it?
It says, the only way to do great work is to love what you do
Mm-hmm.
and be willing to be bad at it for a while.
Ooh, I love that.
Right.
Because it's true. Like, you're not going to be good at something
Right away.
right away. You're going to make mistakes.
It's part of the process.
It is. And having that support system,
Yes.
whether it's a speaking partner or a group,
A mentor.
a teacher,
It makes such a difference.
totally. It's like having your own cheer squad
Yeah.
cheering you on. Okay, so to wrap up our deep dive into this episode,
Yeah.
I think the big takeaway is if you're struggling to speak English,
You're not alone.
you're not alone.
It's incredibly common.
And there are things you can do
Absolutely.
to overcome those challenges.
Actionable steps.
And find your voice.
Find your voice.
And remember, the process is just as important
It's not more important.
as the outcome.
Exactly. Enjoy the journey.
What jumped out at you from this episode?
Yeah. What resonated with you
And what are you going to do this week?
to move closer to your goals?
Okay, before we finish up,
Yep.
I want to leave you with a thought
Okay.
that builds on what we've been talking about.
I like where this is going.
So we talked about thinking in English
Yeah.
and how that can make a difference.
Huge difference.
What if we used that same idea in other parts of our lives?
What do you mean?
So we often translate our desires and our dreams
Mhm.
into limitations
I see.
and self-doubt.
We get in our own way.
Totally. So what if instead of thinking, I can't do that,
Yeah.
we start thinking, I can?
Oh, I like that.
What if instead of thinking, I'm not good enough,
Mm-hmm.
we think I am?
Powerful.
What if we stopped translating our potential
Into negativity?
into negativity
Yeah.
and started speaking the language
The language?
of our own power?
Ooh, that's good. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's a mindset shift.
It is. It's something to think about as you continue your journey.
Your English-speaking journey and your life journey.
Exactly. As you face all the challenges and opportunity.
That life throws at you.
And we encourage you to check out other episodes
Of the speakeasy?
of the Speakeasy or similar resources.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff out there.
There is.
So many helpful tips and advice.
And remember, with consistent effort,
And the right attitude.
You can achieve anything.
Anything you set your mind to.
Until next time.
Yes.
Keep speaking. Keep learning.
And keep diving deep.
And who knows, maybe that change in thinking
Will unlock fluency.
not just in English.
But in every area of your life.
That's a great point to end on.
Thanks for joining us
It's been a pleasure.
on this deep dive.
Into the world of language.
We'll be back soon with another.
Thought-provoking topic.
Until then, stay curious.
And keep those conversations going.
So, we're talking about thinking in the language of possibility.
Right.
And it got me thinking about all the ways we limit ourselves.
Yeah, it's like we create these self-imposed barriers.
Yeah, if we keep saying, I can't.
I'm not good enough.
Yeah, then it's no wonder.
We don't make progress.
Yeah, but what if?
What if we change that?
What if we flip the script?
What if we start thinking, I can?
I will?
I am capable.
Like rewiring our brains
Totally changing our self-talk.
to be more positive.
More empowering.
It reminds me of that growth mindset idea.
Oh, yeah.
That our abilities aren't fixed.
They can be developed.
Yeah, through effort,
Practice.
learning.
It's not about pretending we're perfect. No.
It's about knowing we can improve
And that mindset shift,
Yeah.
that can make all the difference.
in everything we do.
Not just language.
Right, in life in general.
So as you're working on your English,
Yeah.
remember, it's not just about the grammar and the words.
It's about your mindset.
Believing in yourself.
Embracing the challenging.
Well, who knows?
Maybe.
That change in thinking will unlock,
Fluency.
not just in English.
But in your whole life.
That's a pretty good thought to end on.
I think so.
Thanks for joining us
It's been fun.
on this deep dive into language,
And
self-discovery,
we'll catch you next time
for another adventure
in Ideas